So everyone wants to know, what is the KeithAndrewNetwork? Whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. To prove to them you can stand out to something. So that being said, it's going to be PG-13 every time. It is uncensored, so you have the right and freedom to say what you want, how you want. And with that being said, the first question I want to ask you is tell our audience a little bit about yourself and how you came to do what you do today.
Oh, okay. So nice to meet you, Keith. Finally, we meet. So my name is Rachel Grant. I was born in the Philippines and I was raised in the United Kingdom, hence I have some sort of British accent. I have two sisters. I'm the middle of two sisters, performing artists. We grew up in the theatre, singing, dancing, acting. I got my equity card in England, understudying Princess Jasmine and Aladdin on stage when I was 18, and then it just progressed. I've done lots of TV shows in England and here, and film, stage performances, film, and taking me all the way. Lots of now in the last few years, a lot of travel shows and online production of adverts and viral videos, and taking me here to now. Now I'm speaking to you, Keith, but I do have a question as well for yourself. So thank you for having me, obviously. And we've just been speaking just for a few minutes, but if I can ask this, you mentioned about you have special needs. Honestly, speaking to you now and meeting you, I wouldn't know or tell anything, which is wonderful. You seem a very capable person, and probably more capable than most people I meet. I mean, you're putting together your own network and show. Can I ask how, what's your special need?
I'm pretty much like you, only I learn at a slower pace. So because of that, I learn at a middle school, high school level. I read and learn at a middle school, high school level. So I kind of bordered on the spectrum of being, retarded, even though I'm not. But the school classified me as being on the spectrum. So because, I'll give you an example. When you read a script, you can be like, okay, here's the script. It takes you like a day or so. But for me, it will take me like 4 or 5, maybe 6 days. I would ask a question. Can you give me an example? Can you break it down? Can you make it a little more simpler? I'm not asking for you to give me the answers, but if I have the answers, I give you an example. If you were at a cashier and a customer, and most of these are multiple choice, and all these are right. So you have 2 similar answers. Well, can you give me an example what number A is? Can you tell me, what B is? And out of the 2, I have to pick the one that's most fits the category. So it's not that, I can't do like that, snapping your fingers. It's just I learn at a slower pace, and not a lot of people understand or have the patience.
Slowly wins the race, though. Slowly wins the race. So it's not that you're very capable and you're very able. It's just slower, right? Who's to say how fast we're supposed to do anything anyway? But right, slowly wins the race. Very good. Well, I think it's wonderful that you have your own network, Keith. And hey, how many people can claim to do that? So you're doing wonderful things, great things. Anyway, did I answer your question? You can ask the next one.
It's funny. Yesterday I came across this woman on Instagram.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can get anyone featured on CNN, Fox News. Give me 30 minutes of your time, and I can guarantee you I can get you on the air. So I said, okay, and I signed up and whatever. And in the back of my mind, I was kind of like, it's not going to work out. because I came across people like this. She's like, well, you didn't really fill it out what you do, so I'm going to ask you. Well, I'm a talk show host. I have a disability. Thanks to you, we're up to, I think, give or take, so I can look right now, tell you how much. We are officially up to, thanks to you, 836 episodes. So we now have 836.
And how many years?
8 years.
8 years. That's about 100 a year.
It is.
You're doing 2 a week?
Whenever I have one, sometimes a week I have 4, sometimes I have 3. Today I have 2 interviews in the same day, one with you, hopefully one later. So when I talk to her, I'm like, I have a great message. I have 800 plus episodes, going to be 8 years. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I feel I have a great story. And she looked at me with a stupid ass expression with a deer in headlights saying, do you have a book? I was like, well, I'm going to wait. In being honest with you, I'm going to wait to my 10th year anniversary, because my goal is to reach 1,000 episodes. Once I get 1,000 episodes,
you're going to get there.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to take 2 years. Then I'm going to write a book. It's like, well, that's stupid. You should write a book now. You don't have to wait 2 years. And the part that pissed me off is she said to me, you're not good enough to be on TV. Because what you should do is have people write about you and acknowledge you. When I see someone like you and your story, it doesn't get me excited. It doesn't say I have to have this person on TV. It's kind of like, oh, thanks for being an asshole. But it was kind of,
oh gosh, is that how you said it? Oh.
Then when I hear people say, give me 15 minutes, I can get you on, they're all full of BS. Because once you talked about,
maybe she wanted money. Maybe she.
She wanted she said, if people pay me and they have no talent, about 3,000 and up, and I'm like, I have a good message, I have a story, I have recommendations, I have everything, and you're just saying you're not what we're looking for. And I understand, hey, you look at the news and all you see on the news is rape, murder, killings, robins, and 10 seconds of sports.
Right.
Where you don't have any other uplifting stories you want to share on the news. Hey, a person with special needs reaching their goal. News at 11. Then that will get people interested instead of whatever. That's why I don't watch Fox News. I don't mean to ramble on. I do apologize. But let me just want to say, sorry, I don't watch Fox News, CNN. It's rape, murder, killings, and stay tuned. News and whatever when we come back. It's kind of, wait, how was, all right, news, anyway. So, the whole thing is just stupid.
Yes, that's right. Well, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But I do want to say June 10th, I would love to have you with us. June 10th at 5 o'clock East. It's my 8-year anniversary. I would love to have you with us if you're interested.
It depends what.
That's the first day.
Possibly. It depends. Oh, I'm not sure. If I'm with you, I might be holding a baby.
That's fine.
All right. Well, who's the youngest person you've ever interviewed?
Everyone's more than welcome, and I would love to have you here, both of you here. So
the youngest person you've ever interviewed, who is?
Oh, the youngest?
Yes.
Well, I started to interview kid actors, so I would say maybe 12, 9.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay.
But like I said, everyone's more than welcome. But actually, what we're going to do is take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to talk to you about social media and disabilities when we come back.
Hi, my name's Rachel Grant. I would like to tell you that I am now on Cameo. Cameo is the app where I will record a message for you. It can be for your birthday, for a friend, family, or anything. It can just be anything in particular. You can ask me a question. But I do 5-minute long cameos, and I love to do them. They're very inexpensive compared to others. I think it's $29 I charge, and Cameo takes a cut, obviously. But the wonderful thing about me being on Cameo is that all proceeds, all money's collected, 100% of what I collect goes towards charitable projects I'm involved with. I pick and choose various charitable projects in the Philippines, and it gives me great pleasure to do this and to do it for fans or followers or for anyone. But I do 5 minutes on Cameo, and it's great. So I want to tell you that that's a great deal, right? 5 minutes, that works out per minute. That would work out with the math, the 30. That's like $6 a minute. So that's pretty good, right? $6 a minute, right? That's quite good. Yeah, so I know some people only do like 20-second cameos rather, or 1 minute cameos. So think of it in terms of that. So just don't say, hey, I want 5 1 minute ones within the 5 minutes. But that's me on Cameo.
Now we're back from the commercial break. The following is brought to you by HB Gibson, home of the X Zone. Definitely get in the zone. Also, Life of a Fighter. If you're into eating, drinking, and working out, definitely check out Life of a Fighter. Today's Tuesday, and that means if you're a fan of professional wrestling, tonight on the USA Network is WWE NXT. But more importantly, make sure to like and subscribe to the KeithAndrew Network. And our following segment is brought to you by disability. So the first question I want to ask you is, with all the years that you've been acting,
Yeah.
besides me obviously, have you worked with people with disabilities, and for people with learning disabilities who want to follow in your footsteps, what would be some of your word of wisdom?
It's funny, because you're asking me, have I worked with people with disabilities? I'm sure I have, but then on what level, how do you really define a disability? It's interesting because I can't remember her name offhand, but I spent a day, it wasn't work as such, it was an event where I spent a day, it was actually in Washington, D.C., with this Filipino-American girl. I've forgotten her name, but she was born without any arms, right? She had a condition. She was born like that. We had lunch together. We hung out together. And we were there for both because we were considered accomplished Filipinos living in America. And she is an amazing person. She is more capable than me. She's more capable than almost anyone I know. She can fly planes. She flies with her hands. Her feet. She uses her feet. She can do all sorts. She does art. She can play instruments. She is a very, very talented person. And for the most part, people I meet who are disabled in my profession have overcome their disability. In fact, I call them very abled people, and they're doing tremendous things. I've worked with all sorts of people. I know I've worked with people who are maybe autistic or are little people, and have various disabilities, but I really don't see them as disabled. And I'm not just saying that. I really don't. If I'd met you and I didn't know anything about you, I wouldn't think anything of it. And I truly, truly mean that. I might think, oh, maybe you have I might even think anything. Some people have speech or slowness with speech, but look at me. Sometimes I'm like that. We all have our moments. And I think my father has a slight stutter. My sister used to as a child, and people are like this. President of the USA is considered to have a speech impediment. So there are so many capable people that have all sorts of little things going on. It's not an issue. It's what you do that matters. There are so many capable people out there that sit on their butts and do absolutely nothing. And when I was doing my trips around the Philippines, I had a helper, a personal assistant, and he was considered disabled. He was born with a cleft foot. His foot was turned the other way around, and he couldn't walk properly, but he'd found his own way to walk. And he was organizing my itinerary and doing my trips and carrying my bags. I really didn't want him to. And he was doing all this for me. He was actually raised in the slums, and he just was brilliant with his mind. And that's where he put all his energy into it. So he was working for me for years and doing things for me. And we're still in touch, but obviously haven't been to the Philippines for a while because of the pandemic. But there are so many people around me that are considered disabled, and they're so capable. My former dance teacher, while I was growing up, she died when she was 98, but she spent, I think, the last 10 years of her life teaching from a wheelchair. Longest running dance teacher ever known to mankind. She was teaching for like 85 years. She started when she was 13, when in 1931, her name was Miss Nora Morrison. I went to Buckingham Palace with her. I pushed her in a wheelchair. She went to meet the Queen and got an award. These are capable people. So to answer your question, I kind of went about it in a long-winded way. I have probably worked with many so-called disabled people who have proven to be so capable that it doesn't even faze me. I wouldn't even begin to name them off the top of my head. I'm struggling because they are so very capable. And seriously, it's very inspirational. And to overcome something and go that much further, I think that's what we're here on this planet to do, to turn a disability around and turn it into a gift almost, if I can say that, is tremendous, because it can push you to do that much more. Those that are capable don't appreciate what they have. So yes, we are truly grateful for the inspiration. Oh, so many wonderful people out there. Yeah. Keith.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Now, the next question I want to ask you, it's going to be two questions in one. The first one is, I want you to be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my show, what made you say yes? How do you feel now? And what do you recommend it to other people?
That's quite a good question. When did you first approach me? I think it was a long time ago. Was it a few years ago? A couple of years ago?
I'm going to be honest, I don't remember. I have to look.
I think you might have approached me a couple of years ago, and my intention's always pure, and when I say yes, I mean yes. I think I might have said yes, but let's find the time. So I do get a lot of requests. Bless his heart, there's this guy that runs some James Bond fan club somewhere in Italy, and he sent me an interview, no joke, an email interview about 6 years ago, and I still haven't completed it. Like, I've done half of it, and I came across it in my drafts about 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I emailed him and I said, I'm so sorry, I completely forgot about your interview. Do you still want it? And he was like, yes. So I'm like, so my intentions are pure. Like, I want to help people. I want to respond. I want to do the interview. I feel it's also good for me. I feel I enjoy it. I feel it's good to give back and help someone along their mission. If they're putting like a website together or trying to write, I want to be part of that. I feel I should be able to give back. If I've been in a James Bond movie and somebody wants to interview me and share it with their following or their fan base, then sure, I want to be like that. So the fact that we didn't get an interview together for a couple of years, that took a while, but we got there in the end. And then today I wasn't sure if it was going to happen because you were a few minutes late. Not that it mattered. I would have waited half an hour for you. You nearly stood me up, Keith. What would I have done?
Well, to be fair, I did send you the
online date. Yeah. So you were 5 minutes late, but that was okay. That's fine. Usually it's the other way around. But yeah, so that was my first, what was like 2 questions in one, you said. So that was what did I first think? I thought, yeah, why not? I think you might have said at some point, I think you might have said I'm special needs. Would you have done that?
Yep.
Now, you didn't need to do that, quite honestly. I'm sure it could be a draw for some people. So if you had just said, hey, Keith Andrew show, something about the network, yeah, you didn't need to say I'm special needs. I still might have said yes. To some actors, maybe they would have felt compelled or obligated to do something, and it might be something good to do, or it could be interesting to do. So I feel they might have said yes, or they might say yes. Did you find people say that?
Well, I find
Because I was going to say, wait, before you speak, just in case you're going to say what I say, I also thought the opposite. I thought, are you just saying that, thinking that's going to get me to do an interview? So I thought, I wonder if this is an act. I wonder if he's really not. Were you going to say that?
well, for the longest time, I was using my disability as a crutch. I call it the boomerang. You throw it. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. People are going to feel sorry for me. Opportunities will be handed to me.
Yes,
But when the boomerang comes back and you don't catch it, you get smacked upside the head, you just realize you just labeled yourself as an influence because you're just saying you don't have to do anything and people will do work for you.
Right. Okay. That you could look at it the one way, but you can also use it if you're struggling to get actors to do interviews, and it might be the case, you could say that your special needs are disabled, but it wouldn't have mattered with me. If anything, just say you hadn't have mentioned it to me, and then I would have met you, and then I probably wouldn't think anything. But then you probably want to bring it up. But then isn't this like the hook or an angle to your network? It is, isn't it? Yes. So you're using it in that way. So in that regard, then yes, I suppose you would have to mention it. Can I ask you, have you ever interviewed somebody with special needs?
Absolutely, I did.
Yes. And how is that? So you're able to have like a good conversation and talk about it on a, right?
Well, not to throw myself underneath the bus, I'm the type of person where I have my emotions on my sleeve. So if the disability is severe, I'm like, I encourage the person to reach their dreams, of course, but it bothers me to put myself in that situation. Like someone who had no arms and legs, like I can't do that. I can't interview someone like that. No, I have interviewed someone who had cerebral palsies. I interviewed someone who was deaf. I interviewed someone who was blind. Those things are fun. But if I give you an example, I worked in Woodbury Commons, and they were shooting in Camoso. And when I was staring at this guy, like there's something about him, but I can't turn away. And as I walked past him, I noticed he had no arms and legs, and it bothered the crap out of me that number one, no one deserves to live like that, number one. And number two, I could never live like that. And that's why I'm like, I'm very sensitive when it comes to certain things. Other times I can put a good face on like we're doing right now. But if it's really something that's up in your face and being jammed down your throat, it's hard to be, yes, you want to be professional, but you really don't want to be uncomfortable at the same time, because then you can't be yourself.
Right. I see. Yes, I can be a little bit sensitive to things like that also. I hear, but it's amazing. There are so many inspirational people, like the lady I was talking about. I wish I could remember her name, without any arms, and she is such a capable young lady. And I do know of people, I've known of people who were paralyzed or weren't able to use their body, and they're brilliantly minded. It's amazing. It depends obviously on the individual and what they can do and how they can turn it around, but it is quite remarkable how some people with disabilities or in different situations are able to do amazing things. These are my heroes. I mean, I remember once I had an infection underneath my foot. I stepped on a coral in the Philippines, right? And it left a little cut underneath my foot. Didn't think anything of it. Anyway, 3 months later, I have this big gaping wound about this size. I still have the scar under my foot. It was so painful. I could not walk. I couldn't walk for about a month. And it turned out that I had actually had an infection there. It's actually quite serious. It ended up being a fungal infection of all things. But I couldn't walk for a month. It really got me down. And then I just remember when I was able to walk again, I couldn't believe it. I was like skipping and jumping and running down the street. I couldn't believe that I had these amazing legs. I'm like, for the first time in my life, I was like, legs, yes, legs, look what I have. I can do anything. And it just maybe I really cannot forget that moment. I was able to actually put pressure on my foot. And for the first time, was able to walk again. I'll tell you how serious it was. My leg that I had the fungal infection in became so thin because I wasn't using the muscle. I remember putting the leg next to my other leg, and my other leg, I didn't realize how muscular my other leg was. And then they had this little thin leg. And no, that's how I was. So I was not able to use my leg at all. I lost the muscle in it. It's crazy, really. These people are my heroes. We just have to like remember how lucky we are. You have to like embrace what you have in life, all the good things. Just pick on everything that's wonderful in your life. Find all the goodness, because there's so much goodness on top of it. Or yeah. Anyway, next, you have to stop me from talking because I don't have much time left. Well, I have. How much time do you have?
Oh, I have a minute and counted, but I
Right,
do
okay.
want
I
to
have
talk.
about 20 minutes. Is that okay?
No, absolutely.
All right.
We're going to wrap up our
I
interview,
won't advertise the bottle.
but we can wrap up the interview segment. How can our fans and listeners get in touch with you?
Oh, how can they get in touch with me? Like personally, like write me greetings, send me gifts. No, I'm only joking. You know, you can like comment on like Instagram or on Facebook. You could try and message me on Facebook or Instagram also. I don't respond to everything. I try. If don't send hi, because I get a lot of hi messages. I'm not gonna hi what? Hi. No, don't say hello. Hi, how are you? It has to be, obviously it has to be a bit of substance. If you want to say something, make a comment or ask something, I would prefer that. If I go onto IG, Instagram or Facebook and I just see hi, hello, hi. What am I going to do that? Delete. But if you're asking me something more or something very specific, I appreciate that more than a hi. I don't know why people do that. Hi, hello, that's my message. Hi, okay. And I don't know the person. But if they're asking me something, hi, I really appreciate your time. You don't even need to say that. I appreciate your time if you answer my question. You can just say, hi, ask your question. And it can be a yes or a no, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure at the moment, or I can give you my answer.
Absolutely. Nowhere, your Instagram will be on the bottom of the screen. And it's about wrapping up our interview segment. And
you can ask some more questions. I have a bit more time. I didn't mean to like cut you off. No, ask away. Make up something in your head if you want.
Right. Well, I tried to keep it 20 under.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Minutes.
I'm sorry. I'm being thrown off. I'm joking. Do you like my backdrop, by the way?
Oh, I can keep it a little longer. I just won't share it on Manhattan Neighborhood Broadcasting. But you did mention one question. You can go an extra 5 minutes. And the other question I want to ask you mentioned you were on James Bond. So what James Bond film did you do?
Oh, yeah. So I played a character in Die Another Day called Peaceful Fountains of Desire. What a lovely long name. Quite a typical Bond girl name, right? And that was in Die Another Day, opposite Pierce Brosnan. She was an assassin working for Chinese intelligence. Apparently, or was she not? She was posing as a masseuse in James Bond's Hong Kong hotel room. And it's a wonderful scene because he's just had a shower, he shaved off his beard, he's walked into the hotel, he was dripping wet and everything, and then he's come into this beautiful suite, and there's a bottle of champagne in his room, of course, Bollinger, and he's in his nice shirt, looking like James Bond. The first time we see him is like James Bond in the movie, and there's a little knockety knock on the door, and there she is, Peaceful Fountains of Desire. And she comes with compliments of the manager, which is a bit of a saucy kind of like if you think about what she's saying there, it's a little saucy, actually. Anyway, then the scene continues, and then what have you. And that was a wonderful experience. Yes, fantastic. I can still claim to be a Bond girl. You know, that kind of little title stays with you forever. I've used it for good deeds and causes. I was working on set with Pierce Brosnan on the 007 stage in Pinewood Studios for 3 days. And are you a Bond fan, Keith?
It depends on who it is, but I do like Peter. I do like Peter Brosnan.
Oh yes, you like Pierce Brosnan. All right. Yeah, he's very nice. I did have here. I took it off the wall just to show you. This is a little interesting story here. So I don't have too many signed images of. I don't really have any, actually. I don't have too many signed pictures or images from actors, but this is one I have. Look, it says to Rachel, love Pierce Brosnan, and it's from Tomorrow Never Dies. Now, what's weird about this was given to me. It was a gift. I had a friend who was an extra on Tomorrow Never Dies. This was pre-Die Another Day. This is the movie, a couple of movies before Die Another Day. Is it a couple of movies? Oh, no, I think it's just one movie before. Anyway, I don't know the order. I got confused. I know GoldenEye was his first one. Tomorrow Never Dies and The World Is Not Enough. I got confused. Anyway, it was before Die Another Day. And my friend, who I got a job for working on as an extra, he on Tomorrow Never Dies, he was my birthday and he wanted to thank me for getting the job. So he wanted to get a signed poster for me from Pierce Brosnan, and he did an unheard of thing. At the end of one of the days he was being an extra, he went to Pierce Brosnan's Winnebago, knocked on his Winnebago door. Now that's like you don't do that. If you're an extra, and you don't do that. If you're working as any actor or anything, you just don't knock on the star's door. In his Winnebago's door, he's James Bond, for crying out loud. So he knocked on his door. There was no guard there. He said he knocked on his door, and Pierce Brosnan answered, and he said, hello, yes, can I help you? And he said, oh, I'd really like for you to sign these posters. He had 3 posters. He was signing one for himself, one for his brother, and one for me, because it happened to be my birthday that day. Pierce Brosnan said yes. And not only did he say yes, he invited him into his Winnebago, where he sat for about 10 minutes alongside his wife, who had just had a baby. So it was Pierce Brosnan, his wife, and their baby together. And he had this lovely conversation with them. And for 10 minutes, can you believe that? And Pierce, that's how I got this poster. So when the guy gave it to me and said, happy birthday, Rachel, this is my gift to you from Pierce Brosnan, I couldn't believe it. I said, oh, wow. So you just went on set and asked him to sign it? He said, no, I knocked on his Winnebago door. And that's how I got it. But the reason why I talk about this story and I mention it, this is only the second time I've mentioned it actually in an interview, is because Pierce Brosnan is so nice. He was my friend's Chinese, he's British, but he's Chinese. He was one of the many hundreds of Chinese extras that were working on Tomorrow Never Dies, Chinese heritage extras. They're the British. There were hundreds of them. So many, I don't know. Anyway, he was just one of them. And Pierce Brosnan let him into his Winnebago and signed those. You gave him his time. So I just think that's wonderful. Pierce is so nice, friendly, and charming. That's why I share that story, because he's just a great guy. That's cool, right?
Oh, absolutely. I loved him, and he's great as James Bond. I also loved him in Dante's Peak.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in that. He has also done a few things. So when I was a very little girl, I remember there was a TV show my mum used to watch all the time, and it was Remington Steele, because my mum used to think he was very handsome, and women love him. They really think he is very good looking. He is. But what makes him just wonderful is how he is. You know, when you can have someone that's very beautiful or someone that's very handsome and they're just not that nice. And then suddenly they're just like, But he's just so lovely. He's so nice. Yeah. Yeah. Dante's Peak. I forgot about that. What else did he do? He's done so many things.
He also was in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, that is such a wonderful movie, isn't it? And he has an amazing scene in that movie where he's coughing on and then Mrs. Doubtfire comes along and then she's going, It's so great. That's a great scene. Yes. He's actually a great sport. He's actually pretty good with comedy and just having a laugh. I remember once as I can't remember how long ago it was. He was on Sesame Street. And all I remember was he was such a great laugh and was so game. I think he was dressed up as a lobster or a prawn or something. And he was like dancing about and singing or something. But I remember thinking, oh my goodness, what a great sport. He's Irish, you see. He's Irish. Hey, I love my Irish friends. They're so nice.
Speaking about John, I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize.
No, what's wrong?
Oh, I was going to say John Connery was really good as James Bond too.
Yeah, Sean Connery is very nice. Scottish man, right? Yeah, he was very good. Sean Connery. Oh, he passed away this year. Oh, we remember him. Oh, he had so many great movies too. Remember The Rock? That was great. Oh, it was such a great movie. He did so many fantastic movies. And then I love the Indiana Jones movies. And I've always loved Sean Connery. So when he was in one of the Indiana Jones movies, that was just great. Oh, I love those movies. It's so nice because I'm like a real life Indiana Jones because I love to travel. I love the adventure. I love mysteries. I love all these mysteries and treasures and, you know, what have you. I had a metal detector when I was a little girl. Oh, I love looking for treasures. Yeah, I'm like a little Indiana Jones, Indiana Jane. Oh, yes. Although Jones is the last name, so why would I change it to Jane? Oh, the first name is. What am I talking about? Oh gosh. Indiana is more of a girl's name, maybe, right? I like the name Indiana.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Well, there's a wrestler named Indy Hartwell. So Indiana, Indy. So yeah, it's gonna be it's
yes. More questions.
Well, I do want to talk to you off here about some of my ideas about wrapping up our interview segment. It was an honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road. So I'll say thank you very much.